my last question is, if you choose one country to live with, like US or Argentina, let's say you have the choice, like there's no restrictions, and what will you choose?
It's a very hard one, but I would choose Argentina.
So I asked this question to everyone I interviewed in Argentina. If you have the choice and you can decide where to live, will you choose United States or Argentina?
It's a good question, a difficult question. I think that Argentina makes me who I am, and I'm good with that, and I don't change a thing. In the future, who knows?
Hi, I'm Aubrey, and right now I'm sitting in a startup company, Tacanos, in Buenos Aires, and who's sitting with me is Salman Bushian. The first thing I landed in Buenos Aires is I opened my LinkedIn and I searched for the founders in the city, and you are the first few people pop out, and then I just sent a direct message and he immediately replied to me saying, yes, I'd like to have a conversation. So much appreciated for that, Salman. And it's really nice to meet you in person and show me your office. Do you want to say hi to the audience in front of the camera?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm very glad I'm here. This is a bit random how we met each other, but yes. I think out of the randomness comes some of the most cool things.
Yes.
And as I was telling you a few minutes ago, I also met someone from another part of the world when I was starting my previous startup, which finally didn't work, but she was from Hong Kong, and we met with the co-founder matching system on Y Combinator. So sometimes internet meetings bring out great results.
Great. So someone like you are one of the founders for Tacanos. Like, do you want to introduce what does your company do and how you meet with your founders and decided to build a company in Argentina?
Yeah, sure. So Tacanos is a financial platform that allows you to do cross-border operations seamlessly. And we started back in 2022 with my co-founders because we saw so many people struggling, mainly in Argentina, where we are from, to get paid from their employers abroad and no financial solutions from local banks. And we saw that was a problem all around the world. And we thought we could be the best to build a solution for that in Latin America.
Got you. And how many co-founders do you have?
So we are 4, so 3 more. I'm the CMO in charge of marketing, and there's an operations guy, a product and tech guy, and the CEO.
Someone like you told me that you spent your childhood or your early age in Miami, US, and then you also live in so many different countries. How did you decide to build your company here instead of in United States or some other countries?
Yeah, it's a great question. Right before I started with Tacanos and in my startup journey, I was going to move to the US, but then with the pandemic, there were some delays for foreign visas.
Yeah.
And on one of those delays, I was working remotely, and I thought a bit more deeply, and I thought I want to do my own journey. And Argentina was very cheap back then, and there's a lot of talent that is accessible. So I thought, I'm from there, there's where I have my network, that's the place I know the best, and it can be my playground to build a good team with not much resources, and where I will be able to harness my knowledge and my network.
Gotcha.
So for me, it made more sense to be a builder in Latin America and to start back at my home.
Got you. Basically, you have all the advantages that you studied or you got experience from US. You got the advanced system, and then you also have the local connections and networks for the higher the laborers or the employees here.
Exactly.
So you can combine the two of those and build something new.
Yeah, and for sure we can make much more with less.
Yes.
Being here.
And so back to what the Tacanos does, from what I read, you allow the freelancers or the people who earn the US dollars, not the local currencies, so they can trade freely instead of dealing with the local banks. How did you find these customer segments, and how do you onboard your first group of customers?
So our first customer segment was the freelancers and contractors getting paid for their remote job after the pandemic, and they were growing so fast, and they had no solutions. And it's a new generation, it's millennials and Gen Zs that do not understand the banks and do not want to go through the bureaucracy and the paperwork from the banks, which are terrible in Latin America.
Oh, okay.
So basically they were everywhere, especially in Argentina, because there was a very big devaluation. So whoever earned in local currency in Argentina was earning like very low wages in US dollars.
Okay.
So everyone was searching for a job that would pay you in a harder currency, such as US dollar. So this was how we found our first segment. And then we started finding that there were a lot of other use cases like international trade in Latin America, where local banks would have frictions or certain regulations would be kind of hard to go through around. Remittances, payments in different countries. So basically there was a universe of different use cases that required cross-border solutions. And we are always trying to facilitate our users to be able to access the best possible financial solution for each country in which they operate, independently of which country they are from.
Got you. So are you using the cryptocurrency?
Yes, so our infrastructure is based on stablecoins. So basically whatever currency enters into Takenos, we convert into stablecoin. And that's our way of moving money from one way to another. So on the core, our users have digital dollars, how we call them, which would be stablecoins like USDC. And basically they can use their US issued card or their local cards to spend those USDC and convert into whichever currency they are paying, or they can withdraw either crypto or local currency in different countries like US, Europe, and Latin American countries mainly.
Yeah, got you. So when I was staying in Buenos Aires, I go to some market and I buy something, like the owners sometimes ask for the US dollar. So I think there is like the friction that people not trust the local currency, and then because maybe it always change up and down, right?
Yes.
I think it's not only applied to Argentina and also for many countries. And I will say this situation is more and more like people want to trade freely instead of be restricted.
To one coin. Like why should you be forced to pay in Argentinian currency if you could choose any currency in the world to pay? And today the technology to make that possible is there. So we just need to deliver it to the users.
The cryptocurrency is not a new topic. I think it has been few years, right? In America or in Singapore, in China, I saw a lot of companies, they are doing that. So what do you think your company's advantage compared to other crypto companies?
So crypto has been very popular, but probably more around Bitcoin, more around Ethereum, and other like volatile currencies, and a lot of crypto projects that issued their own currency. And there was a lot of speculation with that too. And that's big, but maybe the larger hype for that type of crypto has already passed a bit. And now people are more informed about crypto. And what's coming out to the surface, I think, is stablecoins. And the hottest topic right now in the US is stablecoins, because maybe when we started back in 2022, the US government wasn't sure of what to do and how to deal with crypto, because of course there's a lot of money laundering and a lot of bad stuff occurring in the space. But at some point, especially with the change of government with Donald Trump, the United States realized that stablecoins is a very powerful asset for them in the geopolitical space, because basically it gives them more spreading of the US dollar, because every stablecoin or the most popular stablecoins are against the US dollar. And on the other hand, like the companies like Circle and Tether, which are the two larger companies that issue USDC and USDT, which are the two main stablecoins, they buy US bonds, right? So the stablecoins are mainly backed with US bonds. So this is something beneficial for the US government. And now the US institutional big companies like BlackRock or JP Morgan are getting into the space. Or Stripe has made 2 unicorn acquisitions in the past year or year and a half of companies like Bridge, which is our like virtual US account provider, or Privy, which is a like financial like crypto infrastructure company. So Stripe has bought 2 of these companies for more than 1 billion each.
Gotcha.
So United States is like seriously doubling down into stablecoin, and I think it's going to be like a huge thing. And we are on that space. And what makes us different is that we are focused on Latin America to offer these solutions, and we are very close to our customers, building a brand and a user experience that's up to date with the latest tech and understands the local customers.
Is there any initial misunderstanding from the investors of US because they know nothing about Latin America, like the markets here, the consumers here, like did you spend some time to persuade that there are the opportunities? Like,
Yeah, definitely that was very challenging.
yeah.
And for most of our VCs in the latest round, we were their first investment in Latin America. So we had to work really hard to explain them the nuances of Argentina. And of course, it's very important to build the trust and the confidence because you are very far away and they might think, I give money to these guys and they might disappear. And what ties us up together, right? And that's the challenge. How do you build those bridges? And how do you build that trust? And how do you demonstrate very strong figures that allow you to make them sure about making the investment? And they even confessed to us that they weren't sure. and well, like every single day that goes by, I think they are happier with their investment as they get to know us more and they can see that we are working very seriously and professionally towards our goals.
Yeah, I assume it's really hard to get the money from the place so far away, right?
Yeah, probably we think like the traction we are requested in order to raise a round is between 2 and 4 times the traction that an American founder would be required to have.
Gotcha.
Because first, we are far away and from a different culture, and second, our market might not be as attractive as targeting the US market. And there's a lot of risk involved there, and the risk is priced into the valuation.
Yeah, that's great. So my last question is, if you choose one country to live with, like US or Argentina, let's say you have the choice, like there's no restrictions, and what will you choose?
It's a very hard one, but I would choose Argentina because Latins, we are very attached to our relationships, to our family, to our friends. So basically, like for me, it's too tough to think about living far away from my dearest ones. And I think there's much more to build in Argentina than in the US because we are still far away in a lot of things. But definitely I would think of an ideal situation in which I could be living a bit in both.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Hi, this is Aubrey. Right now I'm sitting in a room in University of Buenos Aires. Right now I study in health, so I get related to many people in academia, especially for my professors who study economy. And today I come to Agustin Call, his office. He's also the professor in University of Buenos Aires. And at the same time, he's the economist. And thanks, Agustin, to join this interview and also your journey as an entrepreneur. Agustin, do you want to say hi to the audience?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm Agustin Coll. I'm a professor of digital economy at the University of Buenos Aires. And I'm also a co-founder of Augmenta AI, that it's a startup in EdTech, education and technology. And I'm in the midst of academia and private sector, and I think that it's a very interesting time to be in AI, in academia.
Wow, that's amazing. So you mentioned that the University of Buenos Aires is the biggest university in Argentina?
In Argentina, yes.
Okay.
In Latin America, I think that first or second, I don't know, but yes.
Your startup idea started from the university. Like, is that a project you have been doing, and what the problem is trying to solve?
Yeah, well, what we see is that, like we all know, we are in a new industrial revolution of artificial intelligence. I'm very into those topics, thanks to Silicon Valley and that kind of thing. And I think that education is one of the biggest opportunities for AI. We speak a lot about automation, no? And artificial intelligence is going to automate this, that job, etc. But the biggest opportunity, I think, is augmentation, using AI to augment our capabilities.
Yes.
The enterprise startup is called Augmenta AI. Augmenta is augmentation in Spanish. What we do is using AI, but from a pedagogical point of view and with a big data point of view.
Yes.
So what we do is we give the universities a platform of AI, but with a pedagogical focus, and we give the professors data and information about the skills of the students or the employees. Like we work with a lot of companies that ask us to give training to the teams, and not just improve what they learn, but also measure the skills they learn. So you can be a marketing manager and you know all the skills, even soft skills of all your team. You have a project, you know what kind of team assemble because you can measure the skills you have, and all thanks to AI and to the opportunities that AI brings.
So basically you can put a matrix about one person's skill, no matter as like how this person perform in their class or in their work. And the professor can use your solution to measure how the students are studying. And the employers can use your tool to measure how their employees are doing.
Exactly. We have like two kinds of solutions that goes the same in the same directions. One is from improve learning, improve the pace of learning, or improve how we improve our own skills. And the other part from the manager point of view or from the professor or university point of view, measure what the students actually learn. Not what an exam or an activity tell you, but really all the skills, soft skills, hard skills, and all in between of every employee. It's like something we call like the CV of the future, like the curriculum. Today it's like a static PDF, and I think that in the future we will see that and think that that was crazy. And
when did you have this startup idea, and when did you like implement, let's say, the first version, and then what's the moment like you decided it should go even outside of the university to commercialize it?
Yeah, well, I'm a professor of digital economy, so I'm the first user of the product. I built an MVP for my own classes.
Oh, sorry, you built by yourself. Are you doing all the software work?
Yeah, right now we have a team and we have
but the first version from yourself?
With help of AI, but now we have a team and co-founders that help shape the vision and the products in the most polished versions. But I started in my own classes to test it and I wanted to implement AI in the classroom, experiment to see what happens. And after the semester, I asked the students, I make surveys and that kind of stuff, about what they think of the platform of the MVP. And 100% of them said like, this is better, and not for the platform, but for the technology, for AI, this is better than traditional education. I have a very positive feedback. And I have the backup of the university to implement a pilot to a massive scale in the university in a pilot test, but 500 students, 5,000 students, and we are trying to escalate to all the University of Buenos Aires, that is one of the biggest in Latin America. This platform, Augmentation in education, like that was the first MVP and the first internal project. Then it appears in the paper, in the news, like the institutional project.
I see. So you didn't actually do the market by yourself, but automatically like the words spread.
Yep, it was very popular that the University of Buenos Aires was having an institutional project using the platform. So when it goes in the news, I have a lot of inbox. The inbox was full of messages asking me more information about the platform from universities, companies, and in that moment I saw that it wasn't just an internal project or an experiment, but something that I found this demand. And we are already expanding to universities.
So there wasn't like intention of the monetization, but you have the product and words by words, like people try it out or people see the platform and then they come to you and they want to adopt it.
Yeah, I think that there's a sense right now that AI is going to change everything. Education is one of here in the region, but I think all over the world, it's something that all people say like, this system is not the best system, and a lot of people see AI maybe like a risk, but also an opportunity. And when I have the backup of the University of Buenos Aires, that is the biggest in the country, I think that a lot of people, companies, universities were curious about how can we implement AI in education? And the tests that we did until now are already very positive, very good.
That's amazing. At the same time, you are an economist. I have a question that if Argentina play right on AI, what the prediction of Argentina's like economy will look like in the landscape of the world in the future?
It's a very good question. I think like here in Argentina, we have a lot of macroeconomic instability, and that makes that all of us are in a survival mode We want to survive the next day, and we are not very focused sometimes in innovation. But at the same time, innovation is the way to differentiation and to survival. I think that if we have a lot of talent and we are because of this instability, we have a lot of talent that it's very demanded all around the world, but we are very focused on survival mode. I think that if we shift that paradigm to innovation mode, I think that we have an opportunity to do a leapfrog and to really play an important role in the world economy.
Yeah, so basically that will automatically solve all this economic problem. Like
improve. I don't know if solving is very ambitious,
but it can be a lift.
Totally. I'm very optimistic about the opportunity of the AI era, and particularly the opportunity that Argentina could play in the AI era.
Then the education definitely plays an important role in this, because innovation comes from how you inspire the young kids or the students, and they need to have the mindset, right? What do you think is the challenge for Argentina in education from your observation?
I totally agree, and that for that reason, I think that my algorithm or my digital environment play a huge role in my professional career, because I have the startup mindset, the Y Combinator mindset, and in Argentina we are not very aware of the startup opportunity, and we see maybe consultant or maybe a lot of a different kind of services, but not so we don't have a lot of focus on technology. But also we, like as a Homo sapiens, from the beginning we make a bow and arrow, and I can wash my dishes without technology, without that kind of stuff. I think that in education we should bring more technology to education, and we should see technology not as a automation risk or not with fear of automation, but with opportunity of augmentation. I think that we are in the other place, like we are not Silicon Valley, but I think that if we get a little closer to that mentality or to that technology optimism about technology, we have a lot of opportunity to grow beyond what we think we can do right now.
Yeah. If you imagine a future for Argentina, how does it look like? Is that look like a American, like the place like Silicon Valley, or there are some other countries like Europe, China, like how it should look like?
I think that we are accustomed to a lot of instability, a lot of inflation problems. We can't predict what our currency will be in 2 months, 1 month, 1 week, sometimes. A lot of political problems. So I don't think that we should be like Silicon Valley. You don't want to compete with Silicon Valley, but you want to follow that example, because in moments of crisis, you can't follow Europe or established countries. You want to follow innovation. You want to be fast. You want to adapt. And I think that Silicon Valley or that kind of mentality, it's an opportunity to face crisis, to be problems as an opportunity and not excuse to, the government is doing this or is doing that, and it can permit me to grow. No, the government is doing what it's doing, but every crisis is an opportunity, and every crisis is an opportunity to rise. And I think that Argentina has that opportunity right now, thanks to the AI wave.
Yeah, so for example, like the government can encourage the AI startup companies, give more support on that.
Yeah, but I think that in Argentina at least, you should not trust in the government. Like you don't depend on the government. Historically, the government makes more bad than good, historically speaking. Right now, we don't know. I think that I love to have the support of the government, but I think that primarily you want to not use the government as an excuse or the economic problems of Argentina as an excuse to not innovate.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. So I asked this question to everyone I interviewed in Argentina. If you have the choice and you can decide where to live, will you choose United States or Argentina?
It's a good question, a difficult question. I think that Argentina makes me who I am, and I'm good with that, and I don't change a thing. In the future, who knows? But I'm happy to born in Argentina and to until right now being alive in Argentina.
Yeah.
But because United States, it's also, again, Silicon Valley. It's a place that I follow a lot, and I try to follow the example. But the good thing about the digital era is that you are not constrained from the from the physical place you live. You could live in Argentina, but consume things from all around the world.
Yeah.
And the knowledge is distributed around internet.
Yeah.
So I think that physically in Argentina, digitally in Silicon Valley
That's
is the way to go.
choice. Yeah, I mean, the internet allows you to get the information, the knowledge from the other side of the world. But the life in Argentina itself, I feel is more relaxing, and the people are friendly, and it's convenient to get everything. So actually, I got the same answer from the other interviewees. Yeah, I can see that people love this place from inside of their heart.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah. Thank you for the interview.
Thanks for the invitation and the time.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Was good?
Yeah, it was really good.
Perfect.